welcome to the Corner House Collective podcast episode 2, sponsored by Corner House Recording Studio and Danny Hardaker Video. Today's guests are Isaac Tyler. Hello, Isaac.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm very good, very good. It's nice to see you. It feels like it has been literally months since we've. So it's how have you been finding lockdown life? Have you managed to use it creativity, or has it been a bit up and down?
A bit up and down, if I'm honest. I've tried to be creative, try and keep myself busy, but I've found it difficult in some points.
I think there's almost a bit of pressure, isn't there, on people that are creatives. So it's like, look, you always complain that you don't have time to do it, and now you've got all this time, and it is really difficult. I think you still got to self-motivate, and you still got to kind of push yourself in that way. But you've been you found bits and bats of time to do stuff.
Definitely, yeah. It's been nice to have a bit of time to do it, but like you said, it's like I feel like every musician's gonna have the pressure to come out and have like 4 albums written.
That's it. Yeah.
But no, it's been nice to be able to just chill out a bit and create. But yeah, it's been a bit of both. But
yeah, definitely. And my other guest today is Donna Coombs from Rock Scene. Hi, Donna. How are you?
Hey, I'm all right, thank you. Yeah.
Good.
It's given me a good excuse to actually put some makeup on and real people clothes today. So yeah, that's always good.
I very bravely wore a white shirt, which when you've got 2 small kids is just. I don't know why I did it. It's ridiculous. I think I'm all right though. Donna, how have you been finding lockdown life in the past couple of months?
It's been quite up and down, to be honest. I think a lot of people can probably relate to that. It's some days you feel really motivated. You're like, right, let's use this time wisely. Let's get stuff done, keep momentum going. And then other days I've just kind of exhausted Netflix and just not had the motivation to do anything really. So it's been a combination of DIY.
Completed Netflix. Netflix has been completed.
Yeah, I can't wait till they actually put some more stuff on, I think, at the beginning of next month. So I might actually have something to watch. But
I think one of the challenges is that we need inspiring, and it's really hard to be inspired when you're in the same 4 walls. Even though we've got like the internet and which is like access to the entire world's knowledge and entertainment and stuff like that, it's not enough. I don't think it's enough to what we're used to having, like things like live music, things like museums and art galleries and just meeting and talking to new people. I think that's one of the difficulties with trying to be creative when you just completely locked down all the time. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. It is difficult. I think it's such a contrast to my usual way of life anyway. I'd be at a gig 3 times a week probably on average, or off on tours. And I think during this lockdown period, I've been at home more time than I was the entire of last year. So I'm finding it really difficult, at times, because just not seeing people, as you say, and the lack of kind of gigs and live music and the atmosphere, I'm really missing it, to be honest.
Yeah. I think we all are. It's safe to say. I mean, maybe you should talk about a little bit about using individuals, because Isaac, you're a musician yourself and stand alone, but you also work in the exchange with me.
I do.
So most weekends you'd be, kind of helping bands and behind the bar serving drinks and everything, and that's you've been doing that for 2-3 years, maybe even longer.
Blimey, it'd be 3 years this summer.
Okay,
yeah. Wow.
It's quite a jarring difference, isn't it, to not be exposed like sort of difference like that all the time. And Donna, you manage and promote bands. Is that fair to say what Rock Scene does? Tell us about Rock Scene.
Yeah, it does quite a few things actually. So I manage 2 bands locally. So I've got A Sirens Fall, who you're obviously very aware of, Michael. And I've got Kill the Silence as well, who are kind of based over Huddersfield way, but have obviously played at your place as well. So they're the 2 bands that I manage. And I'm a booking agent for couple of bands as well. So obviously the ones that I manage, and a band called Empathy Test. So I was actually in the middle of booking, well, I'd pretty much booked an entire 5-week US tour, which took me about 2 solid months to book. And I've just spent the last week cancelling it all, getting out of contracts and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that was pretty depressing. And yeah, so obviously the entire business side has just come to a complete standstill because I can't book. Well, I've kind of rescheduled some tours, but again, I don't know if I'll have to do that again. And so at the moment, it's kind of just not really doing anything on that side and trying to motivate everyone to keep momentum going and keep things going online, really.
This is the difficult part. I think it's the difficult part from a venue's point of view as well, is, you know, we've got gigs that we need to rearrange that haven't been done yet because we don't have a clear idea of when we can rearrange them too. Yeah. I mean, it's you don't really want to double rearrange. It's going to happen. I think it's definitely going to happen to various people. But a lot of people, obviously all the festivals are basically just wholesale delayed for a year. It's not even certain that that's going to happen. You know, we don't even know if summer 2021 is going to be back to normal or what. I think that's a difficult part. I mean, how do you see the return of live music happening, like physically? Do you think it's going to be a very, very phased return, or is it going to kind of snap back in as it was after a period of time? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either, but I think there's a couple of issues that people will have to tackle, really. I guess one of them is going to be people going to gigs, and after such a long period of social distancing and lockdown, how are they going to feel about actually entering a room full of people? And it's going to be quite scary, I think, for people to do that. And also, as a promoter, a venue owner, etc., how do you do it without putting people's lives at risks and, you know, kind of those challenges as well. I don't know if you saw the article on the first socially distant gig in America.
No, that wasn't the drive-in one, was it? No, that wasn't.
No, it was it's kind of a standard venue, really, and it was how they went about trying to put in place social distancing at the gig. And I think it was about a 250 cap or something, and they had about 50 people in. Don't quote me on the numbers, but yeah, it was like how they were just
everyone
lots of
2 meters apart.
Yeah, it was kind of odd. It was lots of photos of like the toilets and how they were spaced out, so like lots of cubicles and urinals couldn't be used, so they were like 2 meters apart, and how you went into the entrance. But then once you're in there, everyone kind of so spread out and not wanting to move to the music, which is obviously a huge part of why you go. So I don't know, it seemed very strange, but I just, obviously, like you guys, I'm desperate for it to get back to normal and have that atmosphere, but I don't know when or how.
Can you have an atmosphere in a gig where everyone's 2 meters apart? I don't know. It might have to be something that we get used to for a while, and
maybe. I think all bands have played those shows, haven't they?
Yeah. To be fair, that's true. That is true. Yeah. I think that is something that we need to figure out how it's going to work. But I think we need solid advice as well from from the government, from Public Health England, on what is going to be acceptable, what actually makes a difference. I mean, there's things like, obviously, there's loads of different challenges, but two that kind of stick out for me is one of them. We've got kind of door deals with bands, so we'll be saying, like, you know, we're expecting to get 150 people in our capacity. If we have to renegotiate contracts now, so we have to go back to them and say we're not allowed 150 people in. So how does that work in terms of for the band to get the same amount of money, then we need to double the ticket price if it's going to be half the capacity? Are people going to stand that? I don't know. You know, it's another issue is it being an enclosed space. Like we always have at the Exchange, we always have our doors closed, and we do a pretty good job of, you know, getting on with our neighbours. We don't get complaints. We make sure and we test sound levels to make sure that we're not upsetting people that live nearby. But if we have to have our doors open, is there going to be any leniency or different kind of guidance from local authorities on whether that's going to be allowed or not? There's still so many questions, and I appreciate that people, the most important thing at the minute is keeping people safe and saving lives, but I think it's time that we get some proper guidance as venues on how we reopen.
Yeah, I agree that everything's just so up in the air at the moment, isn't it? No one really knows what they're doing. I know there's that from the 1st of June, some shops and outlets are being reopened, and to be honest, I don't think there's been any particular guidance on that yet either. So I luckily, as lockdown happened, I've managed to get a day job. Right. And I work in marketing for Volkswagen, which is kind of my past as well. So even looking at opening the dealerships from the 1st of June, still don't really have any clear guidance on what to do. It's all the social distancing guidance, and obviously that I know that's a lot easier in a dealership than it is in a gig venue, but it's just going to show that even places that are opening so soon still don't have very specific guidance on what they need to do. And yeah, it definitely needs to be addressed, you know, in order to try and get the country back to some kind of normality and to make people feel safe as well as be safe. It's how they feel about it as well. And do we have to wear masks now? You know, is that going to be a thing in enclosed spaces? Because I think that's still up in the air as to whether that's going to be happening or not. And obviously our singers and people can't really be wearing masks on stage. So, well, unless you're Slipknot, I don't know. But
yeah, that's acceptable. Yeah. Isaac, would you wear a mask on stage? Would it fit with the persona?
I don't think it would it? It might be a bit weird.
So just to, as a slight move on, Isaac, you've been releasing music. What's the latest song that you've currently got released?
So that'd be one called All Drained Out, which me and a friend have done. So that came out 3 months ago. So pretty much just as lockdown was starting. Yeah.
And sorry, what's your friend called?
George Holiday.
George Holiday. That's it. Yeah, yeah. Did you? Because George has got like a kind of moving camper van recording studio thing, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Which is amazing. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Did you record that in the camper van?
Yeah, so that was basically he fitted out and converted an old library into a music studio and created a bit of a following with it, and then put like a thing out to a lot of his followers and said, I want to write an album around Europe. Whoever wants to get involved, get in touch, and then asked me to kind of join him for quite a big syndicate to help write some of the songs and feature on some of the songs. So that one we wrote was actually the very beginning of the tour, and we'd actually just been on another writing trip and all the batteries had gone flat on the bus. So we got back and we were really annoyed about it. So then we wrote a song called All Drained Out. Okay. And that was like the first day of the tour. So that we wrote that in his driveway in Lincoln. I think we ended up doing the final vocals in, I think maybe Denmark or something. I can't remember where. But then there's like other songs that like guitar's been put on it in Holland and the drums have been done in Manchester. And so it's a real nice cohesiveness of people from around Europe kind of coming together. So the one thing that's been quite nice is that came out at the beginning of lockdown. So I've had like a creative project come out, and then we've got other songs coming out in the next few months. So I've still got stuff coming out creatively, which is nice to have, to be fair.
It's interesting, there's definitely been a change in how artists record music. Like, often the case, it might be that it's not done in one session in a studio. Like, you know, like there's a brilliant band who've sadly split up now from Belgium, Uncle Wellington. And I know that when they came and played the Exchange, they went with Kurt to record some violin parts in England. And they were basically on tour, and wherever there was a recording possibility somewhere, they just, you know, they had all the stems and everything ready.
Yeah.
They just kind of It's good. It's interesting. I think
Yeah, I really like it. Yeah, I really like that.
it's good. It's a good concept. So, like, I mean, Isaac, you're going to do some performance for us today, but I'm gonna sort of pin you down a bit and say that you don't do much live gigs, do you?
I used to do a lot,
Yeah.
and I tell you one thing: the lockdowns made me miss. You know, when you can't do something, you realise it gets taken away from you. Because I did stop gigging for a while, mainly because I was really enjoying writing and recording. I was enjoying writing for other people as well, and the performance thing kind of just took a step back. And I'd done a lot of gigs and but it's no, you're right to say I haven't performed really much in the last few years, really. But it's weird. Come lockdown, I'm like, you know,
raring to go again.
I am like a kid who's had something taken away from them, and then they really want it. I'm like, oh, I want to play gigs.
So, I mean, you're gonna do performance later on for us today, but I was like wanting to talk about kind of the future of live events and how that might fit in a way of streaming gigs. So, to talk to you about this as well, Donna, because I know that's something that we've talked about. I know we're looking at it. I know a lot of other venues are looking at the ideas that we might stream events for people to pay to view, potentially with advertising. Donna, is it going to work?
Wow, I guess we'll find out, won't we, Michael?
Yeah. Have a go.
Yeah, I think so. I think at the moment it's one of the only options that we can do. I really like the idea. I've seen a couple of bands doing it, but of actually having the band full on perform as though there is an audience, you know, at the venue, lighting, all that kind of thing, and just kind of film it from, you know, almost like from someone watching that gig from within the crowd.
Yeah, like a first person view.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and see how that goes, because I know that, well, you know, I can speak for my bands that they will still put on a massive show, even if they get the tiniest of turnouts. So even if it's just me and you,
that's good practice.
It's good practice
for a video. Yeah, I mean that's obviously a challenge if musicians feed off the audience and audience feed off the musicians, and so you know that's going to be a challenge for people for some people, I would say, to put on the same performance. Like, you know, there's something about the nerves of playing in a full room that makes you perform in special ways. And is it going to be the same? I don't know. I think obviously people will try and will do the best, but there's hurdles kind of creativity-wise to get over there, and performance-wise, I think, to get the kind of same thing going on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's never, ever going to be the same. You're never going to be able to replace that live music feel for the people viewing at home or for the bands on stage. But I think it's, you know, it's worth looking into whilst people are really missing live music and bands are really missing performing. And I think it would give a little bit of excitement during this time at the moment anyway. I'd quite, you know, that I put on a yearly gig with some bands at the Exchange generally anyway. So I was thinking of doing something similar to that, but obviously streamed. And at the moment, and obviously I guess it's something we need to discuss in more detail, but how do we keep everyone safe that's actually in the bands as well, and how do we social distance everyone? And
I messaged Donna and said, do you want to come and do this podcast? And she went, I want to talk to you about doing some live streaming thing. And I was like, great, just come and talk about it on the podcast then. But yeah, obviously we need to talk about it a bit more in depth.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, you know, obviously venues are, they're struggling. I mean, everyone's struggling, but venues particularly are going to be the first to close. We were the first to close, and they're going to be the last to open. I think, Danny, if you've got that link, there's the Music Venue Trust, which is a really good organisation. Like they're a charity, and they help sort of support like grassroots music venues. They've started a Save Our Venues campaign, which is basically, I mean, I've had a phone call from them, and they're basically like, look, what problems have you got? What can we help with? Have you tried this? You know, there's all these things going on, and they've done a really good job of. They've managed to get 140 off the kind of "we're going to close now" list by just offering different help and everything. So that's been really good. Do you know have you heard of the Music Venue Trust, Donna?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got quite a few friends that own and run venues around the country as well. So kind of been speaking to those guys and keeping in touch. And it's also quite surprising because I've rebooked a tour for November in the UK
Right.
as well, which is probably the one I will need to look at. But some of the venues on there were at risk. And it really surprised me when I was talking to them because they're really well-known venues, really established within their cities. And that's the other thing I guess we're going to have to deal with when we're then rebooking tours and things like that, is who's going to survive
It's
this.
going to be
And
still open.
I
Yeah.
really hope everyone, like really do, but you just don't know, do you?
Genuinely, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be. When I was talking at the Music Venue Trust, we were talking about how it's a great opportunity to kind of collaborate more with other venues. It's easy to, I don't know, it's easy to just go things on your own and think of other people's competition almost, which is stupid, really, because it's not set up like that. And if we can talk to each other and pass ideas along to each other and help each other, we're
Yeah.
much stronger together. I think yeah, that's important. Sponsor for this episode of Corner House Collective podcast is Corner House Recording Studio. So Corner House Recording Studio is based in the Corner House building. It's run by Kurt. Kurt built it literally with his own hands, about 18 months ago now. It's such a pro setup. It's nice to have a studio that's built specifically for being a studio. He's got an amazing array of gear that you can use and microphones, and he's really good. Kurt's really good at either getting people's ideas how they want them, if you've got quite set ideas of how you want your recording to sound, or if you've got a bit more like of an underdeveloped idea that you want help with producing, then Kurt's really good at that as well. So it's worth checking out his website, which is cornerhouserecordingstudio.com. And hopefully, I mean, can we have a look at a list of the gear if you're in the links there? I can't remember just where it is. It's somewhere. And gear list. So on the right there, gear list. There we go. So he's got a number of different guitar amplifiers in there that make up such a large wall. I understand it's called Tonehenge. And lots of different outboard gear that makes it. And some of the recordings that are coming out of there, well, all of them sounding really good. I was so impressed with how quickly it took him to tune the room, so to speak. It was literally put a set of curtains up, and then you can get such a like clear sound. But to doing different things as well, and doing like kind of folk. We've heard really excellent folk recordings coming out of there, to like really kind of heavy doom metal and like everything in between. So check it out, cornerhouserecordingstudio.com. It's a really good local studio in Keighley. We thank them for sponsoring Corner House Collective podcast. So I guess we're looking at more video stream things then. If a lot of venues are setting that up and they continue to use it afterwards, how do you think that's going to work kind of financially? In terms of how much do you think people will pay to sit at home and watch something? I don't know. It's going to have to be tested out, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's obviously different ways of doing it. There's the set ticket pricing, and then there's like the tip jar elements as well, as to how much. Maybe that's a good way of testing it initially. I don't know, to see what people are willing to pay to watch some of their favorite bands perform. It's something that needs thinking through, but the tip jar aspect was something I was thinking of initially in the testing stage. And then trying to figure that out, because obviously there's going to be an aspect of costs involved to it. There's the venue and the sound and all that kind of thing, so we need to make sure that's all covered. But it may be a bit of a trial and error thing to start with. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's something that people need to look at a grant perspective from it. Arts Council grants, local council grants, something that can, it's easy to look at something that's music based and say it should run like a business, it should run its own, it should cover its own costs, but it doesn't often. And in fact, I think it was the Music Venue Trust that did a study that showed that the majority of grassroots music venues either don't make any profit or are running at a slight loss. It's not really possible to run. It's not a viable business. Is the truth of it. And there's lots of funding opportunities out there that people don't take because they don't think it's for them, or it's a lot of work, and it can be a lot of work. But I do think that that's something that we need to look at more as promoters, as musicians, and as, you know, venue owners. I think that's the route that we need to go down more heavily, really. We'll see. Well, the Exchange has always run as kind of a private entity. It's never been, never had any funding of anything. So it's silly, really. It needs to change. So maybe there could be kind of funding opportunities to look at setting streamed gigs from different perspectives. We shall see.
Yeah, no, mate, I think that's a really good point. I know with a Sirens Fall, we've had Arts Council funding before for a tour. It was quite a big tour, so needed to put a bit of investment into it. So it is out there. It is given for things that you might not necessarily see as something they'll consider essential. For example, it's a really hard process, but it's worth it, definitely. And yeah, you're right. Maybe it's worth you guys looking into that for the streaming aspect, because you're not going to be reaping back the rewards that you would with a live gig.
No, and I think it is an interesting opportunity as well to shake up them kind of even revenue streams as well. Like music venues make money to pay their bills from alcohol. That's the gist of it. That's where all the money comes from.
Well,
sometimes you take a little bit from the door, but you know, it's booze basically.
yeah.
And obviously they go hand in hand, and they do go hand in hand in a way that is very widespread in music venues. The streaming aspect, if we do continue doing that for another year, for example, is going to completely remove that. And it is an opportunity, I think, to find new ways of, you know, getting different revenue streams in that isn't booze, which is not a bad thing, I don't think, particularly. You know, I think for venues it's very much a all eggs in one basket thing from where the money comes from. So it's not a healthy kind of, business-wise, it's not very healthy. But all right, cool. Let's move on. Shall we? We've got our spoken word section today is with Sophie. Can we get Sophie in the conversation? Hi, Soph.
Oh,
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Yes.
Good.
Have you been managing to use the lockdown time creatively, or is it up and down, or have you finished Netflix?
It seems to be up and down. I've finished Netflix about 6 times now, I think.
Just on the sixth running.
But yeah, a couple of my friends know that I've recently been getting into using Ableton.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I've just been messing around with that, really, doing a bit of poetry writing. So yeah, not too bad.
That's good. So you're going to read a couple of spoken word pieces for us today.
Yes.
I'm going to leave it to you when you're ready.
Thank you. So my first piece is called Shanti, which is Sanskrit for peace. And this was written the first thing in the morning when you wake up. And I think it's more apt during this lockdown time, given that there's just so much madness. And it goes a little bit like this. Duvet days and a midday haze, rippling rolls of curiously tender sun rays begin to enter in, setting the curtains ablaze in a honey-coloured nectar, whilst my soul basks inwards on herself, softening, dispersing, disintegrating. Shanti, Shanti. And then the second piece is untitled. I've not been creative enough to figure one out yet. But this was written whilst I was at uni just before the lockdown, and it's just a reflection on British culture, really. Pass me the key to your front door in an effort to make friends past 11 p.m. pull up a chair and let's talk psychology, compare political apathy and philosophy. Bite the cork from another bottle of wine, lap up the British nation's liquefied lifeline. Peace from the rat race in a dim back room, sipping and slicing away our civilised costume. And there you go.
Give you a round of applause. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
So, how long have you been writing poetry? Have it been something all your life, or have you just started doing it recently?
Probably since, I think when I was about 14, because I didn't have the best time in school. I think I was just being a regular, very moody teenager. And my dad suggested for me to start listening to Leonard Cohen. And that's where...
beat a better Letty C, yes.
You can't. So I've just been addicted to him since, really, I think. And then I've just sort of gone on from there. When I was about 15, I entered the Foyle Young Poet competition, which was based in London, and ended up going down for a little award on that, which kind of spurred me on a little bit more, I think. And I've just, it's just an informal little hobby that I like doing. Really.
I think it seems to be a growing thing. Like, it's not something, I'll be honest, it's not something that I know a great deal about, and it does seem to be over the last 2 or 3 years that it's becoming more, more popular. Really, I'm not going to say mainstream, but it's always been kind of there in the undercurrent. And I know that there's been events in Keighley, Spoken Worth. Have you attended any of them? I've missed them so far.
I've missed them. I haven't been here for them, which is just incredibly gutting, but there needs to be more of it, I think, or maybe there are just loads of people that are remaining undiscovered at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to speak to them and see if they want to kind of get involved in any way or do something like that, because I know that it's obviously they used to do meetings at Cafe Riri and at the Keighley Creative Space. But obviously they're both locked down at the minute as well, so we'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna. I don't know them, so I'm gonna get in touch and see what they say. I mean, that's it. So go on.
There's quite a bit in. So I went to university in York, which I've just finished. Woohoo! And thank you. And there's quite a lot there, but I think a lot of it tends to be older people, which there's nothing wrong with. But there wasn't as many young people as I would have expected, really. So I think possibly broadening it out, but you do have organisations like Foyle Young Poets, and I think there's a few more around Bradford, but it's definitely not in the mainstream. Quite like it to be, but
is it though? Like, these sort of things sometimes, when they become mainstream, that it loses its mystery and loses its magic a little bit.
True.
You want your little exclusive club, don't you?
Yeah. Defo.
Not too exclusive though. So, is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? I'm just going to throw it out there, because it's been good to talk about kind of the different challenges that we're all facing. And I think it's definitely seems to be coming to an end now of figuring out ways of how we can return to some form of normality, but still figuring it out, aren't we? I think these podcasts are just going to be like we're talking to Ben about who did the quiz last week. We're going to probably break him out into a separate podcast and maybe do a few different kind of quiz-based ones. Ben needs his own stage, I think.
He does.
And that's good. It's good, but I think, and he's been doing lots of his own kind of private Zoom quizzes. So we're going to break that out. And we're going to try different ideas. I think the spoken word thing we'll keep doing. We'll keep having different guests, different performances. So we just have to figure it out, really. But it's a good thing for us to do while we can't get people in the building, and to get different things going on.
Yeah, I think you should definitely do a quiz night.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I know the parish have been doing one with the amazing Mikey Shiraz.
Yeah.
And it's Ben's got his own flavour on doing quizzes, and he's just like obsessed with them. So it's
No, I think that's a really good idea. Everyone's doing quizzes at the moment anyway, and we've been doing some Siren School have been doing some for their Patreon. Their Patreon patrons, I guess they're called. And they've been really, really popular actually. I think just having something to do and interacting with other people on Zoom is just kind of breaking up the monotony a little bit, because yeah, as much as everyone's kind of all zoomed out and maybe all quizzed out, once you actually start doing it, it's actually nice. Like, it's really nice to see you guys, even though it's just on a Zoom and we don't particularly know each other, apart from you, Michael. Like, it's just nice to have an interaction with other people, because I'm really missing that. Like,
yeah,
really.
Absolutely. I mean, where do you live? Do you live out on the hills somewhere?
I literally live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I live in Thornton.
Right, yeah.
But in a cottage, and literally in the middle of nowhere. So it's very, very quiet and a big contrast to the usual life. And I can see you there in the exchange, and I'm like, oh my God, I missed that place. I really just want to go back now. And
still here.
Yeah, it's strange how sometimes you're kind of so used to turning down people's invites to things sometimes as well. So it's like, oh, I'm just going down the pub, or I'm just going down here, or I'm playing a show. Do you want to come along? And I'll be like, yeah. And then it gets to the time and you're like, oh, I don't know. I might not pop
Soph
out.
is comfy.
Yeah, I don't want to do that ever again. I don't want to take that for granted ever again.
It's true. I think when pubs and venues do reopen, I think people will be scared, but I think there will be an element of, I've been told by breweries that there may be a initial beer shortage. That's
the last thing we need.
That's the last thing you need as a bartender to know, isn't it? No, that's off as well, yeah. But I mean, it's going to take a long time. They've had to throw away millions of gallons of beer, so it's gone. It's all gone off, and it's a matter of getting back on that. So there's going to be loads of challenges like that. But when they do reopen, I'm just thinking, is it going to be like the floodgates open and everyone runs to the pubs and the venues? I think probably in Keighley, to be honest with you, it will be.
Yeah, 100%.
Isn't it? It's gonna be. And the challenges of, we're saying, oh, well, we need to reopen, but only if you can socially distance. Drunk people are really bad at following instructions. Like, famously bad. And,
yeah, that's going to be amusing.
Tim Martin with his Weatherspoons, they've just come up with a plan, haven't they, on how they're going to reopen. It's not going to work. I can tell you that right now. It's just, maybe they're good guinea pigs to have.
Yeah.
They can afford it.
The sponsor for this episode of Corner House Collective podcast is Danny Hardaker Video. So Danny is a videographer, very flexible in what he can film. I've seen him do. He did a lot for Keighley Arts and Film Festival, and basically he's really good at listening to what your idea is. Like, I've worked with him, and I've been able to go, I kind of want this, but I don't really know what it should look like. And then at the end, you get this video of something that's like, yeah, that's exactly what I kind of had in my head, but wasn't able to articulate it. So he does corporate things, charity work, and all sorts of different things along those lines. Really easy to work with. I think it's really important that when you're dealing with a freelancer, that you're able to kind of talk with them, basically. And there's nothing worse than trying to communicate with somebody that either is just not listening to your ideas or isn't really kind of interested. But Danny's always been passionate, like when I've worked with him, about the different the ideas that you've got and bringing them into fruition. So yeah, let's have a look at a little bit of a video. It's playing now. Cool. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, Danny Hardaker Video. You can check him out at Danny Hardaker Video. Okay. And we thank him for supporting and sponsoring Corner House Collective podcast.
Okay, listen, so we're going to wind things up a little bit, I think. Isaac, you're going to do a performance for us.
Yes,
Do you want to go off and get ready, and I'll do the outro?
Okay, yes, I will.
So
Am I coming back to here, or am I
just leave the camera and I'll talk to you in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Just get to the stage. We're trying to do it as live as we can, but there's going to be an element of post-editing afterwards. So Donna, tell us about your web links, social media links, anything you want to push, anything you want to plug.
Well, actually, I've been doing this really interesting YouTube series called Locked In.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a bit of an MTV Cribs type thing, if you remember that. And it started a month or so ago, kind of at the beginning of lockdown. And I got lots of artists that I'm friends with or work with to just film themselves, kind of like a day in a life of what they're getting up to during quarantine at that point. And it's actually, some of them are just so funny, like really amusing, and just a really good little insight into what they're getting up to. So that's on the Roxine YouTube channel, and I'm putting one out tonight with Eloise as well, who you'll know, Michael.
Oh yes, yeah.
So hers is really good too, and
awesome.
Yeah, so that's quite fun. And then
so that's Roxine, ROCKSEEN, as in scene. So just search YouTube for that basically, and everywhere else on the internet. Yeah,
and it's Roxine UK for Instagram and Facebook, but I'm kind of just pushing anything that's sort of content for bands at the moment, because they're feeling it, not being able to play. And luckily A Siren's Fall had recorded a single just before lockdown, so that's going really well at the moment. So managed to actually get some things out for them. But it's just, I think what's quite nice is that everyone's being creative and looking at new ways to like interact with their fans. Mm-hmm. So kind of like to an extent, the whole kind of industry and smoke and mirrors and let's promo this gig and let's promo this really big opportunity that we've got has kind of stopped and been replaced with, how's everyone doing? Do you want to play a quiz? Like, this is what we're up to in lockdown. And it's just become, you can see already like the community of fans and just the interactions have just become so much more like wholesome and just really nice. And it's a really good thing to see, actually.
I think it's one of those things where people are trying so many different ideas that they've never really tried before, both on a small scale and on a larger scale as well. We talked about last week, Post Malone doing an entire set of Nirvana covers, which was just completely unexpected. And we was like, this is going to be terrible. And actually it was brilliant. And, that wouldn't have happened under any other circumstances. So it's try as many different things as you can, and we're going to come out of it sort of better, hopefully, we should think. Maybe.
I hope so too. And I think the industry will have suffered and change a little bit. But I think parts of the music industry need to change anyway.
Absolutely.
I think maybe this will show that artists actually have a platform to do the majority of things themselves now.
Yeah.
And those that are being the most active and interacting the most with fans will be the ones that will come out the best from it. And you might not have the big industry support and the big labels and things like that, but at the moment that's not really benefiting the bigger bands. Everyone's kind of in the same boat,
That's it.
It's almost like an even playing field.
Yeah, absolutely. Soph, tell us your links to plug.
So I, at the moment, just have an Instagram, which is at SJR Poems. That's it for me at the moment.
That's good.
Hopefully I'll do more, expand things a little bit more, seeing how depending on how people interact on Instagram and things. But there's been a good start to people interacting and things and giving good feedback. I always please give me feedback on anything that I write, because that's pivotal, I think, to being able to grow as a writer.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you, Sophie. That's fantastic, Sophie.
You're
Russell.
welcome.
So we're going to get ready to show Isaac now. So this episode's been sponsored by Corner House Recording Studio and Danny Hardaker Video. and this is episode 2 of the Corner House podcast. So we're going to pass it over now to Isaac Tyler.
When I saw you, I was reaching, lost and no confused. I was lonely, had nothing, everything I had I'd lose. I was focused on the future, couldn't see what was happening now. Would it make any difference if I changed how you're feeling somehow? 'Cause I'm all drained out. You left me to clean up the pain. How do you feel now that I'm lost and I'm caught in the rain? All I gave you was love and affection. How long is this gonna take? But I'll leave right now if you've not got the power to change. I wanna give you love, wanna give you grace, wanna make you shine, give you purpose and place. Wanna take me out, make me feel at home. You can teach me all the things I don't know. 'Cause we are adventurous in all the things that we do. But there's always something getting in the way of you. 'Cause I'm all drained out, and you left me to clean up the pain. How do you feel now that I'm lost and I'm caught in the rain? All I gave you was love and affection. How long is this gonna take? And I'll leave right now if you've not got the power to change. Help me out, help me out, help me out, yeah. Let me know what you want, yeah. Help me out, help me out, help me out, yeah. Let me know what you want, yeah. Help me out, help me out, help me out, yeah. Let me know what you want, yeah. Help me out, help me out, help me out, yeah. Let me know what you want, 'cause I'm all drained out, and you left me to clean up the pain. How do you feel now that I'm lost and I'm caught in the rain? All I gave you was love and affection. How long is this gonna take? But I'll leave right now if you've not got the power to change.
Thank you. God, I haven't played guitar in a while. My fingers are killing.